sweetheart. Bye-bye.
Can I please get your name, age, and the relationship to the interviewer?
My name is Albert Mario Rouse. I'm 72 years of age.
And the relationship to the interviewer?
You're my granddaughter. My super favorite granddaughter.
Oh, thank you. Are you or were you married, and did you have a family? Describe the family.
Now, is that during the time of the assassination or before?
Before.
No, I wasn't married. I got married in 1965, and I gave birth. I didn't give birth. I had a son. His name was Anthony Albert Rouse. He was born in 1966. I had a girl in 65. Her name is Tracy Lee Crutchfield, and that was through an experience I had with a young lady that I guess we were going to get married eventually, but it didn't pan out. So I have two children at the age of, I was like 21, I think, or 22, somewhere in there. Okay.
When and where were you born during that time?
I was born in Oakland, California in 1942.
Are you the first generation to be born in the U.S.? If not, do you know who was?
No, it would be my great-great-grandfather, his name was Albert James Rouse.
Applicable. Can you remember August 6th and 9th, 1945, when America dropped 2 atomic bombs on Japan?
Yes, I can. I was 3 years old, but my father was in World War II, and that's when President Harry S. Truman declared war on Japan, and they dropped the bombs on Iwo Jima and Nagasaki.
How do you think the U.S. changed following this event?
Pretty much realized that that our United States was becoming involved in a communistic warfare with another country.
What do you remember about November the 22nd, 1963, when John F. Kennedy was assassinated?
John F. Kennedy, born May 7th, this 17th of, I thought it was May 17th. No, I'm sorry, I can't recall. He was assassinated November 22nd, 1963 in Dallas, Texas by Lee Harvey Oswald. While they were taking Lee Harvey Oswald from detention in the Dallas County Jail, downstairs through a kitchen area, a man jumped out of the crowd by the name of Jack Rubio and shot and killed Lee Harvey Oswald.
Many people have said hope in America died a little that day. Do you agree? And how did America change?
Yes, I do agree, because basically this was when we realized that we needed to find a way to form up an alliance of national security for the President of the United States, as well as the other political leaders, because nobody was safe. That was declaration that nobody would be safe in the government, that we needed to provide a more secure line of defense. So that's when the Secretary of Defense formed the alliance to create a better regime of protection for the political government.
How about the Vietnam War? Do you think America had lost trust in the federal government by the end of the war? And if so, has this trust ever been won back?
Yes, I believe we lost a lot of trust in the government because here again, this was a political affair. The Vietnam War never had to be fought because it wasn't between the United States and the country of North Vietnam, because of the Asian country basically had a way of living their own particular life, and for some reason for us to go over there and try to intercept or intervene with their allies and problems that they had with other parts of the Asian continent, it never proved a thing, because when we came back over here, we were still in the same circumstances that we were, and they were in the same circumstances that they were. It was like just a total loss. To answer your other question, what was I'm sorry, repeat the second part of that, please.
Do you think that they ever won the trust back from the federal government?
No, I don't believe they did, and the reason I feel that way is because we lost, our casualty was so great of our American soldiers. Me, myself, being a Vietnam vet, I never really understood why. I mean, other than the fact that it was political and it was strictly something that was contributory from the government issues. We had no business ever being there. That's my opinion. I serve that opinion because I've talked to many Vietnam vets before, and majority of people I've talked to that in that war situation feel the same way I do. We just had no business ever going over there.
Okay. How do you think the world's perception of the United States changed on July, is that 20th?
Yeah.
20th, 1969, when we put the first men on the moon?
That was very interesting. Yeah. That was probably a complete surprise to the American people that we were ever going to embark on something like that, because the only real thing I can contribute to that situation is that I think that they felt that the world is becoming too populated, and they wanted to see if there was life in other planets so that possibly they could venture into another space age where they could find out if human beings could survive on another world. I think it was a tremendous innovation to mankind to proceed to do something like this, and search that there would be an ability for mankind to survive out there. I found it to become, I mean, it was very surprising to everybody that I remember, particularly when I was in school. I think it was just I think it was the beginning of a new turning point in mankind to venture out like that, and who knows, like they're trying to do today. They're talking about putting people on Mars, and there are people signed up to wanting to go. Not anything of my interest of going, but it's an interesting situation all the way around, I think. Fantastic achievement, too.
How do you think the world looked at the U.S. following Nixon's resignation on August 8, 1974, in response to the Watergate scandal?
That's something that really bothered me when that happened, because of the betrayal. Here again, to me, the corruption in the government to finding out that somebody would try to hide a circumstance like that. That was when there was 5 different men broke into the Watergate, and President Nixon tried to cover it up like it was non-existent. And when there was a further investigation, quite a bit of investigation about that, there was no way for him to turn it around. He was not going to be able to hide that anymore, and so he was in a position where he needed to resign or be impeached, basically. You know, it's interesting that in my opinion, there should have been prosecution done on something like that, but for them to squash the whole thing, that was something I never did understand, I didn't believe in, so I think he was more than smart to get out while he could.
In what way do you think our nation changed on November 9th, 1989, when the Berlin Wall came down, effectively ending the Cold War?
Oh boy, that's another one. Yeah, that's another situation that we shouldn't have been involved in. But I got to say this, you know, at least it made the ability for the people to cross over from West Germany into East Germany, and to kind of put quell the disturbance of, because those wars were very minimal. There was no great warfare going on there like there is in the World War II or the Vietnam War. It was the smaller countries were just basically fighting over their rights, I guess. But the fact that they, my gosh, it was constructed, I believe, in 1981. I think it was constructed, or I know it was taken down in '89, but I can't remember. I'm not for sure what year it was constructed, but it did. At least it did let the people be able to go into the other part of the country, so that basically they had their own freedom rights.
And what do you remember about September 11th, 2001, when the country experienced a terrorist attack on the Pentagon and World Trade Center? How was America changed by this?
That was probably the greatest sad day in the history of the American people since the day that the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. In my mind, I saw terrorism trying to infiltrate and take over our country, and I got to tell you, changing the world, we haven't had a moment's peace since that's happened, and I feel that the United States is still under extreme attack. As much as we try to stay on top of this, I don't think nothing will ever be the same again, particularly for the families that lost all their loved ones. It was completely unexpected. Nobody understood why or how this happened, but it immediately presented another war. And I remember listening to the president speaking and talking about that they were going to go after and prosecute to the fullest extent of the law the persons that they felt were responsible for this situation. President Bush said that this is now has caused and created another war between the United States and the Far East. And I don't think the people have, even to this day, 15 years later, 14 years later, I don't think the people are at rest, because the terrorism is now trying, from many different vantage points, has infiltrated over into the United States, and we are having to be on our constant guard, in which case our security alliance is becoming more and more aware of what could possibly happen here. There is no rest. There will be no rest until some real advanced decisions are made to destroy, to recover, to destroy and recover their alliance and take them completely out of the picture.
Lastly, it is said that every American citizen has a dream. Be it wealthy, happiness, a better life for their children. What was your dream, and what do you think you achieved? Do you think you achieved it?
My dream was to be an accomplished man. When I was in the service and I came home, I wanted to find some kind of a career, because I didn't like the war. I didn't like being any part of it. And I wanted to see what I could do to get an education and become an accomplished man in some area. And so I got into the building trades, and I went to college for 4 years, and I pursued it, and I was in it for 38 years of my life. My accomplishments were, I got married and had 2 children. I learned how to build many different facets of building large buildings. I learned that as long as I do the right thing and try to serve mankind the best way I knew how, which this military taught me that, to save for a future, and that possibly someday I would lead my children to in the right direction to find their endeavor, whatever they wanted to do. I think I've become quite accomplished in my goals, my dreams. What was the other part of that question?
Do you think you achieved it? What was your dream, and do you think you achieved it? Yeah,
What was what?
What was your dream, and do you think you achieved it?
What was my dream?
And what do you think do you think you achieved it?
My dream, more than anything, was to make my mark in the world, that when I left the world, that the people I left behind me that love me would have a good memory and a good recognition of what I accomplished, that I left myself a legend of to do the right things, that if you want something, the only way you're ever going to achieve that goal is to go after it and pursue it for whatever it takes that you have to accomplish it. And I feel like I accomplished a lot in my life. I'm older man, and because I was smart and did a lot of smart things when I was young, I'm going to be okay. Not wealthy, but I'm going to be okay.
That was all the questions, so we'd like to thank you for your time.
Okay.
And
pause it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it.
They do.
The red button.
Oh, we're gonna.